welcome back to the Spiritual Lounge with Courtney
and Nina
and Oliver. He's already crashed.
Crashed out as usual.
I know. So today we wanted to talk to you guys about the Lunar New Year that is going to be coming up here soon. We're so excited.
So excited.
Hope you guys have some fun plans for it. I know we do. But we want to talk a little bit about what it is, what to expect, and kind of how things fall into alignment. So, talk to me a little about the Lunar New Year.
Okay, so it's the year of the snake.
Yeah.
And I find this really interesting because it ties in perfectly to numerology. So I just think it's so wild how all of these spiritual concepts from around the globe
connect in so well.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So the year of the snake, and then being a 9-year numerology, it's all about endings and new beginnings. It's really that transformative energy. Nines are all about chapters coming to a close. And then with the snake, it's really the symbol of transformation, shedding what's no longer serving you. And what is kind of, for a lot of people, if you're kind of wondering what to focus on, it's going to be the thing that sort of has naturally
come up.
Yeah. You're not going to have to think too hard on it. It's going to be the one or two or maybe even more areas in your life that are kind of naturally not really working out anymore.
Yeah.
There's probably a lot of disharmony going on. Things that used to be great are suddenly an issue. Like these random little things, and it's like, it's time to go.
Yeah, it's like you have your coffee every morning and one day you wake up, you're like, this doesn't sit right in my stomach. Yeah. It's like those things that obviously can be in bigger or different scales.
Yeah. And I think for a lot of people this year, it's kind of career. And the place that you used to maybe love working is no longer
in alignment.
A vibe. Maybe it's like suddenly you're not getting along with your coworkers anymore.
Or now you have to go back into the office and you realize what flexibility you had before.
And it's just not feeling right. And that's typically when all those little things are just feeling off. That's, I don't know about you, Courtney, but that's like...
Ding, ding, ding!
Exactly. And I feel like the more you try and ignore it, the louder the signs are going to get.
Oh, it's so tough.
And it's going to get to the point where you can't ignore it anymore either.
Yeah.
Or, the door is going to slam on it.
Like, your company will shut down.
Yeah,
or your department will be gone. And you're like, oh, crap. Okay, now I have to, figure this out.
Exactly.
I feel you.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like as this Lunar New Year has been coming around, it's really got me thinking of, the traditional New Year that we all go through, December 31st into January 1st, and how everyone gets so excited about that, and we've talked about goal setting and kind of what happens in the New Year, but I think it's interesting because when you follow, the Lunar New Year or the Chinese New Year, you start to realize,
it's about a month delayed.
Yes, right? Yes. It's you're in the dead of winter, especially, from December to January, when you're coming into this.
And you've just closed out the holiday season, so everyone needs a little bit of a break.
Yes, and then you're like, let's jump into these new things.
Jump into 50,000 new goals, and let me get up at 5 and do a 2-hour workout. And
change
overbook myself for everything.
And I think there's a big piece of this where as we come into this Lunar New Year, it's given us so much more time to kind of pause and reflect and really think about what is it that we actually want to do? How do we actually want to live our lives? How can we be intentional? And not just say here's a resolution for this, but just really pausing and going okay, what has happened in this past year? What do I want to change? What are things goals that I want to be working towards, but not having it so...
Well, and I like that you have that month of January, not so much to start a billion different projects, but really just to recover your energy
and reflect.
And then kind of lead into the Lunar New Year and the Chinese New Year, which I feel is more in alignment with the natural cycles of the earth as well. Because it's kind of late winter, early spring.
Yep.
And to me, that makes a lot more sense, exactly, to start new things than the dead of winter, where
you're exhausted. It's so dark.
It's dark. It's just more
think of the farmers.
It's a low energy. Most animals are hibernating.
Exactly. And it's that's not the time when they're getting up and going how can we lose weight and start the year? It's
exactly.
All right, let's pause. Let's wait until we...
And let's just do what we gotta do to be responsible adults. Just
be productive.
but not necessarily jump into all this stuff. And I think that's a huge part of like just spiritual living is really getting in tune with the cycles of the earth and
what
really
works
the
for you.
Seasons, and really understanding that winter is a time of rest, and it's a cold, like dark season.
It's rest, recovery, think soups, think naps.
Energetically, it's not supportive of starting
some new regime.
big ventures that are gonna like
change your life
and require a lot of energy. Like that's your prana, that's your chi. That's like you have to feed that into whatever you're wanting to do. And if the season isn't really aligned for it, it's gonna be a lot harder. That's the thing. Like cyclical living, tuning into the cycles of the earth, which is a huge kind of cornerstone of shamanic teachings as well. It's not just some like random thing we're talking about in the spiritual community. It's because it makes it easier for you. Because when you are then taking that aligned action, you're going to have the energy that's harmonious behind that. So it's going to feed into that, and it's going to give you like a little push in the right direction. It's like
it guides you through it all.
It does, So it's not like you're just having to survive on like willpower and like white knuckling everything.
I'm laughing because we've all been there.
Yes, we have all done this. We speak from experience, but if you can really just let yourself have more of that relaxing winter, and then and a lot of self-care, I would say, up your self-care. And then as the springtime starts to come now with this Lunar New Year, with the Chinese New Year, to really just now start to ease your way
and like
into
planting those seeds. It's the way I always think about it, is like as we get closer to spring, kind of planting those seeds, right? It's like, so for example, one of the things kind of on my list with this is I want to read more. Like I feel like I went through such a phase of time where I read so much for schooling and then for my master's. And I got so annoyed with reading that I was like, okay, I'm so sick of doing this to learn something. I just want like trash to read. And so I realized
we did start that.
We did start a trashy book, and you were like, interesting.
I'm still reading it.
I finished it because I was super sick, so I like binge read it, and then I was like, I don't know if you want to finish this book. Like,
I know now I have to finish it because I have to know. But
but it's like those type of things, right? It's like that's something that you can still nourish yourself and use as like a self-care of like every night I'm going to read for 10 minutes, or like I'm going to finish one book a month and have something that's like you time. And, like these can be some of the goals. It doesn't have to be drop 50 pounds in 2 months,
and make $1 bajillion.
I'm going to make all of this in this time frame. It's just like planting those seeds, and so I think that's a little bit more of what
I think that's
about.
A good analogy, good example for sure.
So awesome. Well, then I will send us over to do a little tarot reading here to talk a little bit more about this, and then
what to expect with the Lunar New Year.
I know, I'm excited. All right, bye.
Hello and welcome to your tarot reading for the Lunar New Year. We've got a lot of exciting energy coming up. I really love that analogy that we were talking about with also tying in the seasons and living cyclically and living in accordance to what the energy is actually supportive of. Because when we're having to like push, it makes things hard. This is interesting. We got 2 cards, both money cards. We got the Ace of Pentacles, which is all about new energy, especially new energy around financial matters. So last year in numerology was an 8-year, which was a lot about career and finances. And this year, 9-year, we're coming to a close with things. And then of course we have that the year of the snake, right? The Chinese New Year of the snake. Coupled with an Ace of Pentacles, stuff is falling away for you financially. You are really being asked to move in a new direction. And then you have the King of Pentacles. So King of Pentacles is more of that divine masculine energy, which we all have some of that in us, no matter what gender we are. So how this would show up for women would be, this is you creating the framework in a business maybe. This is you creating some maybe batch content to where it supports the feminine energy, right? Think of like the feminine as the river, and think of the masculine as like the river banks. It keeps it somewhat contained, right? It keeps the energy and the the water flowing in the right direction without just going everywhere. And that's a beautiful example too for us who are creative people, who are spiritual people. Sometimes we get lost out in the ethers, but with this Chinese New Year and the year of the snake, I think one of the big things that we're shedding is the imbalance between the masculine and the feminine within all of us. So first, I think a lot of us who have been on a spiritual journey, this energy that's coming through with this Ace of Pentacles and the King of Pentacles is really about creating some structure in your life now and tapping into that masculine energy to not put yourself on some crazy schedule that doesn't feel aligned, but it's more so an energy of creating some framework that actually make everything easier for you. Because sometimes when you sit down, maybe you have a business and you sit down and think, okay, let me figure out what to post on social media or something like that, right? Suddenly, there's so many possibilities and you can get overwhelmed and then end up not doing anything. So having some of that framework in place can actually make your life so much easier. And then when you're not overwhelmed, you actually feel like you can thrive in the creative, passionate, feminine energy that you're feeling called to really tap into. And another thing I want to say, like for so many of us who've gone through spiritual awakenings, we were probably way out of balance in the other direction when we were still kind of doing the corporate grind or more of a traditional 9-to-5 thing, right? That tends to be very masculine. It tends to be very like 2 + 2 = 4. So when we came from that world and we're healing that out, we kind of course correct by going like maybe very far in the other direction. And so now we're kind of bringing harmony to both of those things. That's the message coming through really strongly, is like, this is going to be a year of profound financial transformation, but it's really going to come through shedding the extremes that we've been in the past. So it doesn't, and it's funny, the bottom of the deck has the 2 of Cups. I mean, you can't make this up. 2 of Cups is all about partnership. And in this reading in particular, this is like the marriage of the 2 energies coming together to function in a way that's not extreme, that's not overwhelming, that's not activating to your nervous system, right? You're coming into harmony with your finances and the energy that you're bringing to that. So this is a beautiful reading. Don't be afraid to put some schedules in place, to maybe sit down and really get to like the, bare bones of it, where you're actually putting in some thought, putting in some planning. You're bringing balance to the feminine, you're bringing balance to the spiritual, and it's actually going to make your life feel so much better. It's going to make your business and your finances feel really stable. There's this grounding energy that the masculine does bring to things, and when you pair that with the healthy spiritual, you're going to get amazing results. So this is such a beautiful energy moving forward, because this is grounded, this is stable, this is long-term success too. This is sustainable, which is really the direction that we want to move in 2025. So let me know, did that resonate? Have you felt that call to really bring what is kind of a little off? Have you felt the call to bring that back into balance, to bring some harmony to your life? If so, absolutely pursue that. Absolutely tap into that, because the energy is 100% in support of that. And I'll see you on the next episode.